Okay, so it's in between. The rules are on the table.
There are no rules.
There are no rules. We don't bleep anything. If kids are there, we love you kids. Come back on Monday through Friday. Right now, the adults are going to talk, and you don't need to be here.
About hot sex.
So
this is kind of like the Alamo Draft House of podcasts.
Pretty much.
If you have a problem, get out.
So I'm going to put it on the table that when we came in, Richard almost immediately walked right to me and said,
he had a hot take.
He's like, I have something to say about something we talked about. And I knew immediately when you said it, I knew where it was going because a few weeks ago, was it Ruby Rose that I brought, or no, it was Scarlett Johansson.
Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah. I brought up the question of
her monkey business.
That poor ding dong of a woman has now made 2 bad choices with Ghost in the Shell.
Right.
There were other opportunities for her that she could have been a champion of this film and not been the star of it. She made a bad choice again. That's beside the point. What I asked the guys was, when will we get to, I don't know. Will we ever get to the point where
anybody can play
anything? Yes, where we can simply say, I don't care who you are. Can you play it? And I said, and I really wanted to know, are we going to get towards that? And I was just trying to ask that question, which Richard had a point. Now, he told me that day after we did, he said, I hate things like this because I know that tomorrow I'll be showering and I'll have this thought and I'll go, damn it, that's what I should have said to Todd. So you apparently had your damn it moment.
So what we talked about specifically was Scarlett Johansson playing a transgendered character, and it blew up that it was probably just a bad choice for her. Why not choose a transgendered character? And we went at length on an in-between about specifically that. And I went through the entire thing, and there's one argument that I just kind of kept forgetting about. And it was an aha a little bit later. And today I had it in the back of my mind to talk about it. And it's not that a straight actor cannot play a gay character, because ideally you're an actor and you can kind of transcend
somebody
anything.
Who's not you, yeah.
You don't want to go so far as having a white actor play a black person being blackface. That
correct.
That is obviously something where you're
unless you're Robert Downey Jr.
an intentionally Asian character in a novel, suddenly now being played by somebody who was very European white American.
Right.
But what I'd kind of forgotten about was not that straight people can't play gay people. It's that what's happened now is the reverse. There are a lot of gay actors that cannot play straight roles because they are typecast as always being gay actors. And there's a stigma against gay actors playing straight roles. So why would we want to give a valuable gay role specifically to a straight actor when there are gay actors that are out there that can't even get roles?
And I think that's a very valid point. When you are not even allowing the flip conversation to occur, which is, okay, if to my point, we want to get to the point where we are colorblind of every facet, whether it be sexuality, whatever. If I look at Richard and I say, you are exactly what I envision for this role, I don't care whether you're gay, straight, whatever.
Right.
I want you to play it. Because you brought up Luke Evans, Luke Evans has quickly become one of my very favorite actors. He can go from playing in Beauty and the Beast and playing Gaston, very masculine role, to doing other things. He was in The Alienist that was on TV, and he was just wonderful.
He was in the last 2 Hobbit movies.
Yeah, he was in the Hobbit films. And so, with the fact that he is a gay man...
Well, we don't want to get the attorneys involved. We just know that there was something about that his past that seemed to be whitewashed.
Oh, I didn't hear that part.
Well, we don't... It's not on record necessarily that Luke Evans is gay.
See, I thought it was. I thought he was forwardly out.
I'm pretty sure he made a couple of interviews, stuff like that, and then all of a sudden, all of that just kind of disappeared the minute he started to get the Lord of the Rings role, and then move forward from that.
Which, that is just fucking wrong. What is it?
Now, don't get the attorneys out. I don't 100% know that that's true.
They can come at me because I'm going to say I didn't say anything other than what's wrong with it.
Ian McKellen playing Gandalf, one of the lead roles in there, and he is an out and proud gay man, but what's the problem with Luke Evans?
But
because he was playing a daddy in that.
Gandalf in the movie also isn't a sexual being. We're not supposed to assume Gandalf's sexuality based upon who he is.
We have to as a society.
But
if
he has to be a romantic lead against a woman, he probably would not be cast.
Okay, I want to shatter the illusion for everybody in film and television. When you see people falling in love, when you see people having sex, it isn't real. It's an illusion.
It's lying without being caught.
If they're gay and pretending to be straight and fall in love, it's still a fucking illusion.
I'm going to pull a Sean line.
Uh-huh.
You hush your mouth.
You shut your mouth.
You shut your mouth. That is Nova loves Taylor.
I want to believe it too. I am the person that if I watch a good film and I see love and it's genuine, I'm bawling because the world needs more of that. It's still fucking fake.
I mean, one of the stories is that Matt Boomer was not picked to play Superman in the most recent crop of movies because he was out.
Which is wrong because he looks like Superman.
He is spotting image. He's
who's Matt Boomer?
Matt Boomer.
I mean, Henry Cavill, I think is a very good choice too.
He's good, and maybe yay for Matt Boomer. He didn't get sucked into the
shit show that is DC right now.
I don't even think that the movie. Oh. I don't even think that the movie does justice to what Henry Cavill can do. Like I totally agree with you. It shows him off at all.
I think
he's meant to be silent and just stand there and be a statue the entire time.
I think Henry Cavill has the chops to play Clark.
I think he does.
And I don't think we've seen that.
I agree.
That he's not been given a chance to do it. He's also not been given a Lois Lane that is the right woman for him. I think Amy Adams is fantastic as an actress.
She's amazing, but
she's not right
Lois
for
Lane.
that. And
do we come back to Man of Steel like every single?
We do touch on that a lot because, and you know, I even saw some of it again not too long ago, and I don't hate it as much as you do. I do not have a background with Superman as much as I believe you do as well either. I do see the problems with it. I get sick of Zack Snyder trying to overthink everything.
Right.
It just feels that he tries too hard to bring some deep truth to it instead of just allowing the characters to breathe. That's what they feel like there is such an omnipresent cloud over everything in that film that they aren't even allowed to simply be glad they're here.
Is there a minute by movies that does actually the Man of Steel and the Zack Snyder stuff?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I would be surprised if they didn't. There may be a DC universe, or I wonder if they've done Superman, which goes from the Christopher Reeve films into the
going
new ones.
Forward. Can you imagine how difficult that would be? Not because we can't break down a minute by movie, but the fact that we now going forward we do, but currently we don't have we don't know who Taylor was or who Nova or who these characters were, and we got to break them down minute by minute and find out who they are. But for people breaking into this, these are characters that are already established.
That is
so they're just not bringing in that minute. They're bringing in their own history and their relationship with those characters going forward.
See, that's one of the reasons.
Well, there's a DC cinematic minute.
When Sean and I started talking about doing this, you know, he had been clamoring at me for a while. I want to do a podcast. And I kept trying to, you know, do we do a generic film, blah, blah. And then we heard this movies by minute. The first thing I thought, because of Sean and I loving comics, was let's do Batman. Somebody had already seized on it. And I'm kind of glad that we didn't go there because to your point, for me, it would be very hard because I can't look at, I have to divorce myself with those films, the majority of them, to where they do, you know, the Michael Keaton films, I still don't really care for them a ton.
Right.
They're wrong tonally.
I mean, if you thought Michael Keaton wasn't your Bruce Wayne, you would never be able to accept that he was your Bruce Wayne.
And
then you'd get to the other Batman in that series, and you'd still be like, that's not Bruce Wayne. That's not Bruce Wayne. You would never be able to just accept, in this particular scene, he's now suddenly Bruce Wayne to me, you know?
I mean, that was the whole thing that, you know, to me, Batman, every iteration has been, I'll see glimmers of something. I thought that...
You know who Batman is. It's Kevin Conroy.
I agree. He does. He has the sound
down. Bruce Wayne. That's your Batman, Bruce Wayne.
But I even look at George Clooney, and I think with a better script, with a better director that could handle it, I think he might be able to make a version of Bruce Wayne because he has the swagger. I think
he does.
And then Christian Bale, I thought, did a fantastic job of occasionally bringing the swagger. That whole moment, I think it's in the first one when
he kicks everybody out of the party, or whenever
when the girls are swimming, he's like, "I'm buying this place."
Yeah,
I thought, whoa,
that's the second one. That's the Dark Knight.
No, I think that's the first one because that's when Katie Holmes shows up. Yeah, that's the first one.
He's sitting there with
when
Dent, isn't he?
when the girls go swimming, that's the first one because Katie Holmes shows up and he's wet.
That's right.
He'd gone swimming too. I at least felt like for a moment I was like, oh, there's some of that I could see where he'd be putting on a charade with it.
Just a total moment in comics, movies, television, whatever. I love a good Bruce Wayne moment. When he walks in and he's a total buffoon, but you know that it's actually Bruce Wayne Batman pretending to be Bruce Wayne. Sorry, just that mask.
Alfred has brought him ginger ale that he spills on himself pretending
exactly.
it's champagne.
The idea of him with his mask as this character coming in, I have to be this particular character in the scene, that's
forgetting one girl's
really
name as he makes out with another
now,
one.
when I see Bruce Wayne hanging out in the mansion talking to Dick and whoever else
That's
and
Batman.
Alfred,
Yeah.
that's still Batman, or Bruce Wayne Batman, whoever the persona is. But seriously, anytime he goes in public, I'm like, I'm so fascinated to see what this writer does or what this actor does, because this is now a character.
It's the reason the animated series to me is the only thing that's ever gotten close to really understanding that duality and making it work. And the animated series is the only one that's done my very favorite look of Batman. And I know this is probably the least expected thing, but when Batman's sitting in the Batcave and the cowl is resting on his shoulders and it's off of his head, I fucking love that, because that to me is the duality. And I even have an action figure at home that has that. And that's probably my most cherished Batman figure, because again, that is truly who he is.
Todd says he has an action figure. It means he has an outfit that he puts on. And he sits in front of his home computer and just puts a camera behind him. Take a picture of me.
I don't ever hide that. I walk into Shelley and I'll say I'm Batman, and she's like, not tonight.
Is that like a code word?
Yes.
She goes, here's your kryptonite super Batman, whatever you are.
Oh, she tolerates my stupidity with Batman.
No, Batman is like still the number one selling comic book on the marketplace right now.
Is it really?
It's fascinating to understand how that character has managed to maintain its popularity over the decades. Now, when you look at like small market fluctuations, sometimes the X-Men is number one and sometimes Justice League is number one. But Batman is still always like a top 5 selling comic book.
That's amazing.
I don't think it's something that I've come up with. I've obviously heard it before, but I think it's one of those things where Batman is, in the right circumstances, you think you could be Batman. If
Correct.
you had that money and you had that desire, I could be Batman. I'm never going to be Superman.
Right.
I'm never going to be Green Lantern. I'm never going to be Wonder Woman because I don't have superpowers. But if I had unlimited money and a desire to spend my nights beating the shit out of somebody, I could probably make that come true.
I just don't understand why. And we got Matt Reeves coming, who we both would agree has done a fantastic job with Planet of the Apes.
Yep.
I'm begging him to finally get the character
detective part right.
The detective, the persona of Bruce Wayne, and the Bat. Because I want to see the Bat also. I got so excited when I saw Michael Keaton dressed up, because it was the first time that it actually ever felt real instead of campy. But now as I go back, I can't watch that film anymore because it's
a little bit too campy.
It's wrong. I want to see those moments where he's cowering in the shadow. And we got a couple of shots like that with Ben Affleck that were cool, but still, they've just never tonally gotten everything right. Now, Matt Reeves is known to be a huge Bat fan.
I mean, seriously,
I'm hoping.
You're right. The idea of the duality, seeing enough of Batman as Bruce Wayne in persona in the public would be fascinating. Also, the idea that he's a detective, which depending upon the writer, I mean, some writers are really skilled at doing detective stories and some writers are not. And hopefully he brings that to the screen. Some just want to make him just a fighter. Brute fighter.
And I think that's fine if that's the story you want to tell.
But I want to see that diversity of the character. I want to feel like I'm watching, Sherlock Holmes, who has a different persona, playboy persona in life, that then is an actual detective that occasionally has to use his fisticuffs and can't always win because he's not always the best, but he's got small things that kind of move him in his favor, whether they're devices or skills.
Yeah. And that's why I think this first film from Matt Reeves has to be a detective film, because if you can establish that, then the next one you can make it an out-and-out fighter film, because you've already established he's this, and suddenly the elements are there, and then we only have to see little moments of it. Well, we need finally to have the meat of it be a detective story.
One of the greatest transitions for a sequel for me was Alien to Aliens.
Okay.
Yeah, because they changed movie genres.
And they changed genres in the middle of it, right? They changed styles.
Went from a horror movie to an action movie.
But it'd be fascinating to see them do that over a series of several movies in which you take a character and you move the style a little bit as it moves along. You move from a detective film to kind of a more popular action film by the time you get to the second one.
And then you go into like a 7 film that you have the Riddler messing with him and kidnapping people, and
you do a psychological thriller at that point.
Scarecrow and Riddler teaming up together or something like that.
A psychological thriller, and then you actually move into a courtship. I'm not saying romantic comedy, but you move into something that's a little more lighter, where he's actually dealing with a Catwoman that's happening wonderfully right now by Tom King. You move into that idea of like,
when do you throw a Robin in?